Okay, next will be LOREN WESTREICH.
Always been last. Not
Hi, Lauren.
because of W, it's always because I was one of the tallest people in the room.
Oh.
Always at the end of the line.
Oh.
Top of the bleachers.
So we will start with the first question. And that is, why are you interested in serving on the city's planning commission? In your response, please include a summary of your relevant education, skills, and experience, including any past civic involvement.
Okay. Well, really the main reason that I'm interested is I think it's really important to be thoughtful about where Emeryville's going from here on out. And I think it would be very helpful to have someone from the business community who has more than just a business focus to be on the Planning Commission. And I think that from a purely selfish perspective, the Planning Commission to me is a very interesting intellectual problem, and there's a lot at stake. So I would be very interested in being able to be part of, where things go in the future. I think I referenced in my letter that Emeryville has done a really masterful job of transitioning from, pretty heavy, dirty industry, and even more colorful past than that, to the vibrant community that we have now. And the future is really going to be about how do you balance the needs of the city and the general fund and the needs of the rapidly increasing number of residents in the community, and really where that middle ground is, and how to really be thoughtful about what the next 20, 25 years will be in Emeryville. I have been in Emeryville 16 years as a business owner. I've presented many times to the council and to planning commissions, and I am working with several Emeryville committees now. We work closely with Emory
Excuse
High.
me, your time
Oh,
is
I didn't even notice. I'm sorry. You guys have my letter,
Okay. What do you see as the role of a planning commissioner?
Well, I referenced it earlier. I think that a planning commissioner has the opportunity to really help to be thoughtful, to bring some perspective to the city council about how developments are progressing in the city, and what maybe to be able to be creative about how to implement some of the general plan goals, because they are lofty and lengthy, and to be able to really think outside the box, and be able to offer some creative suggestions, and think about how some of these things can happen, and not just comment on, how many windows need to be there, or, I don't mean to be facetious, but.
Third question. Describe your knowledge of the city's general plan and any other major planning documents that have been adopted by the city council in the past 2 years.
I'm somewhat conversant with the general plan. I don't know every last little section of it, but have a good sense of what's going on with the general plan. And as I said before, I think it's a very good blueprint sort of for how to move forward in the next, quarter century. And I also think that that while it's important to be aware of the goals of the general plan, that I am not a fundamentalist, and I think that there is always room to be creative and thoughtful, and that the ethos of the general plan is really what's important, and not every last period and cross T. And I have also been involved in the zoning updates as well, and been aware of what's going on with that, and many other things.
Okay. Please give one example of a recent economic development or housing project in Emeryville that exemplifies your point of view regarding design, community benefit, and/or community process, and explain why.
Well, when I was looking at the questions that you sent, one of the things that I'm actually very interested in and have been intrigued by is what's going to happen with what was the Moz building. I think it's a very it's a really good opportunity for the city of Emeryville. It's a significant structure in terms of it's an interesting building. It's a very important place in terms of that, you know, five-way intersection. And to be sort of creative, I know the current proposal includes commercial uses, live-work uses, retail, and to sort of be, like I said, sort of creative about how to bring a really well thought out mixed use development to a busy intersection in Emeryville and not have the project be hijacked by any of those elements, so that, you know, the commercial uses don't hijack it, that, and the, you know, residential uses don't hijack it, that, you know, having the idea of having a hub or having a, you know, some tech space, a sound studio, you know, things like that that can really make a project much more interesting, and it's not just a simple retail with living space above.
Mayor Brinkman.
Okay, Ruth?
Let's start with someone else.
Oh, Nora.
Oh, okay. Lauren, given the fact that your business is in the North Hollis area, and there are many buildings there that have probably a less than optimal use and may be ripe for changing in the future, can you give us any thoughts on how you would see development in that particular area? Because you're very familiar with all these big old warehouse buildings up there.
Well, I think that one of the things that's important in looking at developing that portion of Emeryville is, if we want to maintain any kind of, you know, general industry, and I don't think the general plan does, and my experience in Emeryville is that we're not looking to keep big heavy industry here, but to have some of those kinds of commercial uses. That's clearly the area they should be. But in terms of transitioning some of those old warehouses, some of which are quite fabulous buildings, I really think, again, it's important to be thoughtful and creative. So rather than to come forward and say, this is what we want from a project, we want a project to have housing, we want, in addition to housing, we want affordable housing and family-friendly housing, we want open space, we want, you know, some live-work units, and we want some retail, to really try to put projects together that, so one project doesn't handle all of those issues, because I don't think that's reasonable or possible. I think it would be much more interesting to try to have a vision for the future and to say, okay, well, this project, you know, they're coming forward with this particular goal in mind. Let's see what we can do to maximize the benefit of that for the community, as opposed to try to squeeze everything into one property.
Thank you.
Jennifer?
Yeah, I'm just going to follow up with a density question, and you can respond to it as you want. But, you know, we have projected a significant amount of growth in Emeryville based on our regional goals, and I'm curious how you think that could be handled best.
Yeah, well, I think, I mean, that it's a significant issue, and I think that having a mix of, you know, sort of much more denser, sort of high-rise type, and I'm not suggesting, you know, New York City, but to have there be a mix, so that when it's possible to create developments where you can have a townhouse or, you know, possibly a single-family residence, which is sort of hard to imagine. There's a lot of space for that in Emeryville, but when it's possible to have those things, to be able to do those things, and we're not to sort of be able to create a denser, you know, like a multi-unit or multi-story building where people can live that work here or that work close by and can commute, so that there's not, you know, that it's not a commuter city, that people don't live here and then all scatter, and to have different kinds of programs for different kinds of sites so that it's not, again, we're not trying to shoehorn everything into one particular type of building.
Jack?
I don't have anything else, Lauren.
Well, the only thing I can say, Lauren, is, I think what you did in my neighborhood is beautiful from a planning standpoint. I meant, you took those old buildings, you did some remarkable things with them, and you have dogs over there, and I haven't had a complaint or heard anybody complaining about your facilities, so I would believe that would be the same thing that you'd be bringing to the planning commission. So I don't know what your thought process was with that site, but it turned out very well,
Thank you.
so.
Thank you.
Ruth?
No, I don't think I have any questions at this point.
Okay, you have 1 minute. If
Okay.
there's anything else you want to add?
Well, as is normal, I'm a little bit of an outlier. I think I'm the only one who doesn't live here, but I think that I can bring a lot of interesting experience and sort of life experience of being in Emeryville. I also have, in my background, worked for 2 world-renowned design architecture firms and have a lot of experience in design and development. So you had asked before about reading plans and whatnot. I'm very comfortable with that. And
Yeah, your whole front of your building.
thank you. And I think that I feel strongly about Emeryville, and I would love to be able to contribute to, the next iteration and see where things go, because I do think that this is a very important time for the city.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.